just knowing that I'd, kind of earned the respect of him during that, and then, all the fellas, when they started yelling, skip, it was, that was another one of those moments that just, get emotional about. Like, it's, not only the football side, but, knowing that those guys, like me and cared for me that much, that to me means as much as anything.
You earned it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and long road. Yeah, it's one of those things that you just never think is quite gonna happen. When it finally does, it's like, man.
Dan, one of my favorite memories from spending time with you is, I think it was the senior banquet or something like that around 2016. I was emceeing it, and they had me interviewing guys on stage, and we were all standing up, and I could not reach you with the microphone. Like, I had my hand up as high as my arm extended as far as it would go, and we could barely get the microphone to you. You probably have the reputation as the tallest offensive lineman in school history.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering, if you forgot who Dan Skipper is, that's the guy. Remember him? I remember when you first got to campus. What do you remember about coming to Arkansas?
Man, I just loved it. It's great people, great weather. You got everything you want in one area. Fayetteville itself is, it's a small town feel, but you've got all the amenities of any big city. The people, the fans, and it just comes back to the atmosphere of being here. It's a good place, and it felt like home to me right off the bat. And after 4 years here, I couldn't be happier with my decision.
You played a lot as a freshman. You kept playing a lot. What do you remember, before we get into sort of your journey after college, and we'll do a little bit of your backstory, but what do you remember just about your time as a Razorback?
It was fun. Obviously wish we won more games. Had some good years, had some down years, but, felt like we, came in and tried to get this thing rolling again. And, it was a lot of fun, great people. And at the end of the day, it was a great experience for me, and, hopefully put something on the field for people to remember, and, gave some people some good times.
Skipper is the guy that's going to get his hands up. Watch right in the middle, number 70. Yep,
it was.
Left hand by Dan Skipper.
6'10" left tackle coming in on field goal block.
It was a tough grind there for a while.
Yeah.
A lot of SEC losses. Remember that first SEC win of Bielema's tenure, beating LSU.
Yeah.
Take me through the journey a little bit, what that grind was like, and being so close and coming up short in so many games, and then finally getting over that hump.
It was huge. I mean, you look at my freshman year, the 3-9 year, and you're in so many games and you can't quite win. You got LSU down to the ropes at their place and lose with a minute left. And then the next year you kind of come back in the same thing. And then finally, you're playing LSU, and like, you feel it. The defense is clicking, we're clicking, we're able to run the ball effectively. And next thing you know, it's, the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and you're like, oh, this thing is going to happen. And just that feeling of knowing it's going to happen, getting to run across the field, grab the boot right off their sideline. It's one of the top sports memories I'll ever have. And, just that group of guys to get across that, because it's so easy to win once you know how to win. Like, there's the step of, you've got to learn how to win and finish a game and do those things that once you've done it, it's much, much easier. But after you've gotten in the cycle of losing close games, it's really hard to break out of that. And so knowing it was coming and just getting over it was unbelievable.
You got to go back to October of 2012. They're going to run and get that boot. They're going across the field. That's theirs now.
After the LSU game, the moment the game ends, what do you remember about just going to get the boot?
Oh, I remember running across the field, and just, you get to that thing and you look, and there's just the rails are being bent over. it was a nut show out there. And then, you get under that thing and it's heavy. That boot's a beast, and you're trying to carry that thing a little bit, and then, you're passing it off, and, you think the whole team, has to get in there to move that thing, and then, got it on the, equipment boxes at the end, and the iconic picture, of AC and all those guys. But man, that was a special time, special memory, and just seeing everyone on the field, and it's tough to replicate that.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I can tell you still have it right there in your memory.
Absolutely.
It's a special thing you'll never forget.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, that's right up there. The first win, it was against LSU, trophy game, and then you go and beat the brakes off them too. That was a lot of fun.
Let's go back a little bit. How'd you get to Arkansas? You grew up in Colorado?
Yes. Yep. So I grew up in Colorado. Knew I wanted to go away from Colorado. So I took a bunch of visits all over the place. I actually committed to Tennessee. Was committed there, and then that staff got fired when Dooley was the head coach. Coach Pittman was the O-line coach there at that time, and he just said, promise me that wherever I end up, you give me a visit. If it's a major school, just one visit. And I said, all right. And so kind of kept in touch as the carousel wound through, had visits scheduled, and then when Bielema got hired here, I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I hadn't heard from Arkansas or Wisconsin, and so I didn't think a whole lot of it. And then Coach Chaney got announced here, and Pitt called and said, hey, are you available this date? I can't tell you where yet, but this is when you need it. And so we went out, and he got announced, and I came shortly after there. And, and that visit, you get to Fayetteville. I remember I had played baseball here in high school a few times, and just the feeling of, it's Arkansas. Like, it's a cool place. It's got the home atmosphere that, I didn't get at the other places I visited. It just fit me personality-wise, and it was just, I knew right away. Like, as soon as I got off the plane, and Coach Lunny picked us up from the airport, and I was like, okay, this is it. And I knew, just driving from the airport on the way in, I knew.
Yeah. Wow. Just like that.
Yeah. It's just like everyone says you get a feeling, and yeah, for me, it was that cut and clear. And then you start meeting the guys, and, Travis Swanson hosted me, and, Luke Charpentier and all these guys that I'm still friends with, 10 years later. And it was unbelievable. So
I can tell that you look back on it fondly.
Mm-hmm.
Just the bonds, the memories.
Absolutely.
The friendships. I mean, for fans, watching games and winning games and getting excited about that. That's why we're all fans. But yeah. You're a fan now of other teams, and I'm sure. But that, as a player, mm-hmm. To have an experience where that's what you got out of it. I imagine that, like, when you talk to younger athletes, that's like, hey, don't take that for granted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to be in a culture that allows you to grow up, allows you to, meet your peers and be with, a group of guys, but also be with the community and, kind of all encompassing of growing up, in my opinion. And having the group that's in there, but then you go back and, you're integrated at the quad, and, like, it's just good folks here. It's good people. And that's something that I think it's taken for granted, and you look at, schools that, are recruiting, and you go to the school and it's like football's all the way on this side of the campus, and this is all they do, and the only thing they do, and the only thing they interact with. And it's like, you're just not there yet in life. You get to the NFL, absolutely, but at this point, it's, they just do such a good job of, intertwining everything to make you a whole man. So
What do you remember about Coach Pittman at the time? Now, obviously, the head coach as we do this podcast, but back then, the offensive line coach that recruited you.
He was, he just made you believe in yourself. Like when I came here, it was, he didn't make any promises. It was put the film in and say, if you're better than this, you'll play. If you're not, you won't. So, knowing kind of what the expectation was, and it was clear, but, no one gets you to play harder. And I think that's his, probably his best quality as a coach is he gets guys to play absolutely as hard as they can. And if you got enough talent to, get up to the ceiling, great. But at the end of the day, like if you go out there and play hard and fight, you've got a chance.
Do you remember when he left for Georgia?
I do, yeah.
What was that experience like?
It wasn't great. It was a tough night, but got this nice little shirt out of it. So
that was his?
Yeah, it was his. It was dropped off at I want to say the Goodwill, and went on Twitter and it was like, hey, Coach, Coach left all his, some of his stuff at the Goodwill. So I scooped in there. I think they opened at like 9 a.m. I was standing at the door at like 7:45 and there was a line 10 people deep. Someone put it on Twitter that they saw him dropping it off. And but you can't keep it closed from, when you got a bunch of stuff, it just is what it is. But I was able to go in and scoop this nice little, I don't even know what brand it is, but it was pretty slick.
It's a button-down short-sleeve shirt for the audio audience only. And it's Razorback, obviously, Arkansas football. That's a little insight to what happens when coaches, it's such a transitional world.
Absolutely.
Assistant coaching, even head coaching. But you can't carry your gear from school to school to school. Although if he had known he was coming back as the head coach, he might have hung on to some of it. Yeah. I think they probably took care of him when he came back.
Absolutely.
But that's a lot of coaches do that. They just drop it off and you found out it was there. So you went and got more gear. Yeah. That is such a college student thing to do.
Absolutely.
Too,
it was like $5. That's a nice shirt. I'm still wearing it.
That's so good.
What, 7 years later? So,
at least. So that tough night when Pittman leaves, tell me the story about just going to try to talk him out of leaving and in the conversation that you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, it was a tough night. A few of us went over, to go talk to Coach and just kind of got kind of right when you walked in, it was like, it's just kind of that feeling in your stomach that like, let's just move. Like we love both sides of it, but at the end of the day, like sometimes there's things that are bigger than football that need to get handled, and that's just how it is. You got to do what's best for you, for your family, for your overall happiness. Sometimes there's a lot of different factors going into it. But, kind of the more we were there, the more it was like, all right, like, Coach, I love you. Go do what you need to do. Like, we're good. At
that moment, the fit wasn't maybe there and the fit needed to be somewhere else. And
yeah, it was just, in football especially, there's, big personalities, coaches to players to everyone else. And sometimes, there's event that happens that you just you need some space, and that's okay.
Yeah, we see it with in professional sports all the time.
Yeah,
teammates will get in a fight, somebody's got to get traded or somebody's got to move on. It's a really tough environment to be in every day. It's a grind, and if it's just not working for whatever reason, just like a player can be at a school or a team and not be in the right spot and go somewhere else and thrive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's interesting to me because of the relationship person that Pittman is, and I know the relationship he had with you guys.
Yeah.
And in life, sometimes things are hard and they're just not as perfect as we would all like for them to be. And I just imagine that was a time that you probably all grew from.
Absolutely. Yeah, we all grew from it. And, I don't think that a single guy lost respect for, either sides when that happened. It was just, it is what it is. And as a player to get a new coach and learn, a new communication style, I don't think it was a bad thing. Coach Anderson came in and, obviously, Frank goes and gets drafted in the first round, and then, a lot of other guys that went from, young cats to playing for, you look at Dalton, guys here for a decade.
Dalton Wagner, look, his COVID year and whatever else in
absolutely, and so, kind of starting him out and all those things to, get quality alignment on the field. And
so then follow all the way back up to when he becomes the head coach. What was that like for you?
It was great. A group of us got together and trying to figure out, you kind of see all these names getting thrown in the carousel that may or may not have been, a good fit or successful. And it came down to it. And, I talked to Coach Pittman. He's like, I really want this job. And so talked to a few of the fellas, and, one day I got cut from Houston, and I came home and I was just seething, and I was like, I got to get an outlet. And so I, pound out this letter, and then I got to, send it to a bunch of guys and had them, edit and co-stamp it and do those things, and, put together a second draft, and then, blast that thing out, and kind of got the wave rolling. And it was great to know, like, oh, this is actually, catching speed. I'm sitting online on a couple of the message boards, paying my, $9 a month, like, seeing what everyone's saying, all the flight trackers, and that's so, like, only in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable. And comes in and, see that it, the flight coming from Athens, and sure enough, it's him, and, man, it was a great feeling to know that, someone who cares, someone who's not going to, leave this place in 2 years for what's perceived as a hotter commodity, or, sometimes you got to take a gamble on a guy. And in my opinion, that's the type of person that, you gamble on, someone who's been around, done it, gets their guys to play hard, knows the ins and outs of the game. This league is different. I think we all know that as fans, like, just walk into the SEC and win without knowing the league. And I think you look at the track record of most of these coaches, people that know the SEC, it's a different breed. And getting Coach Pitt, he got it, he gets it, and I think results on the field, trending in the right direction. And that's all we can ask for as fans, to go out there and have a team that we're proud of. And I can say that it's there.
Yeah, how do you define the league being just different? We all talk about that, but from somebody that's been in it and the way you describe that, dig a little deeper there.
Not to sit here and conference bash, but there are certain leagues where you walk out there and you can play your 2s and 3s and roll the ball out there and win. It's not like that in the SEC. There are guys going to the league off these teams every year, and not just 1 or 2. It's every week. And then you look at the schedule and you've got, 8 conference games, if I'm still correct. So, all 8 of those games you're playing. And it's not like there's no cupcakes. Everyone's big. Everyone's fast. Everyone's recruiting. The budgets, everything else. Like, they want to go get a kid, they'll go get a kid. And it's not like that everywhere. You've got some big schools, but you don't have half the conference who's not good and who can't go out and win consistently. Every year there's a team who's, middle of the road and flips that thing. And, like, look at Tennessee last year, right? Kind of middle of the road, and then bam, flips it. And every year that could be an SEC team.
So your time at Arkansas ends.
Yep.
Tell me about your journey to the next level.
So it's been a long one. Long story short here, I end up going undrafted. Kind of thought through the rumor mill and all the, projected to go, somewhere day 3 probably.
Now let's refresh our memories. What year is this?
2016.
This
or
is
2017, sorry.
2017 April.
Yes.
Okay.
End up going undrafted. It was a weird dynamic, kind of everyone's sitting there like, oh, this is, get a bunch of free agent offers. Decide to go to Dallas, it's where my wife's family's from. Stay there through week 4 on the practice squad. Cut there, go to Detroit. On P squad for kind of up and down, played in a game that year. Come back, Coach Caldwell gets fired, Coach Patricia comes in. I get cut after camp that year. I'm on the street until after, I think, week 12. So after Thanksgiving, like, I think I'm probably done with this thing. And working in her parents' pie shop at the time, and
What shop?
it was a pie shop. So
Making pies?
yeah, so I'm making pies at Thanksgiving.
You're making pies?
Yeah, pounding out crusts. I mean, pumpkin pies, 50 gallons at a time. I can't touch pumpkin pie anymore.
I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
either. Oh, man.
Yeah, so we're banging out pies, and get a call for a workout in Washington, and they don't sign me, but the Broncos call me as I'm sitting in their building, like, hey, we want to sign you right now. So I go to Denver, finish out the regular season there. Vance Joseph gets fired. Kind of in flux, end up going back to New England. Coach Bielema was there, do the playoff run there on practice squad. Get a ring out of it, do the whole Super Bowl thing. It was awesome. Come back that next year in New England, get claimed to Houston. So I go to Houston, cut from Houston, get claimed back to Detroit. In Detroit, go through, get cut again at some point, or get hurt. That was COVID year, so that was 20. So get hurt, finish the year kind of up and down, and then come back the next year, get hurt coming out of camp again, go to Vegas, was in Vegas for a cup of coffee, and then get cut there, and then end up back in Detroit, and then coming out of camp this year, get cut again. So a lot of cut, a lot of in and out, but 6 teams in 6 years. Finally played my full season in the same city, so that was nice.
In Detroit?
In Detroit.
In 22?
Yep. So it's been a whirlwind, but a lot of fun.
I think people generally want to know what tomorrow looks like in their life to the extent that they can.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us, we think we're in control. None of us really are in control.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure there's a part of you that is just sort of like, man, I'd really like to know what's going on in the next, or where I'm going to be the next 12 months of my life.
Yeah, that'd be great. Unfortunately, in this business, not going to happen. I'm not a high draft pick who signs big contract and does all that things, but if I can keep stealing years in the NFL, I will. So
just enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's journey and story is a little bit different. Hall of Fame, career practice squad, didn't make it, got hurt, whatever, didn't get to spend a year in the NFL. And as much as you'd maybe would obviously like to be a full-time starter on an NFL team, the fact that you've hung around in the league for 6-7 years there's a lot to be said for that. But it's also that's kind of who you are.
Yeah.
Like just kind of how you've done it, right? Your
Absolutely.
whole life.
Yeah. Just been kind of a hard hat guy. Gonna show up, don't cut yourself. That's the biggest thing. Show up where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. Play hard, don't do anything stupid. And coaches, front offices generally think that's sometimes it's better to be maybe the guy who's not as talented, but you're consistent. There's 2 buckets. You've got your talented group and you've got your consistent group. And the really great ones are both. But at the end of the day, if I can be that consistent guy, that's who I am as a player. It's who I am as a man, and it's what I try to be every day. The same guy every day.
Where'd that come from?
I think that's probably a Coach Herbism.
Ben Herbert?
Yes.
Former strength coach at Arkansas?
Yes.
Currently at Michigan?
Yes. His big thing was being consistent. And that was always since day one. I'm going to be the same guy every day. And seeing that and seeing the success he had, on and off the field was really set me as like, that's, kind of an earmark of where I want to be. The work ethic side, that was, since I was knee high to a grasshopper, that was beaten into me at a very young age. It doesn't matter what sport I was playing. It was, we're down in we had an outdoor batting cage. And so we were out there hitting balls till 10 p.m. and we go inside and had the shop, and we were lifting weights with friends. And so being part of that was something that I had always been. It's part of just who I am. As we're gonna show up and we're gonna work hard and let the results be what they are. Sometimes you're outgunned, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. But if I can go out there and work hard and give it everything I got and fight, I can look myself in the mirror and be okay. And most of the time, that's good enough for me.
And you've had some big moments too. You've had some great moments. We talked about some of them in Arkansas, but you at the end had a great career at Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And a lot of great memories. But in the NFL, you've had some great moments.
Absolutely.
You were featured on Hard Knocks. Yeah. What do you remember about that? Lions training camp?
Yeah, it was interesting. It's weird when there's a camera and everything, and you just you're in a meeting getting dog cussed, and you look up and there's just a camera just.
Yeah.
It's just that's a little weird.
Remote
yeah. Yeah, it was fine. The HBO crew that did that was great. Or I guess the NFL film.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But those cats were awesome. Great experience with the people, and however they go through that much footage is impressive.
Yeah. It's 100 hours, I believe, knowing our friends at NFL Films, per hour.
Yeah.
Pretty much 100 hours of footage.
Yeah.
To make 1 hour of a show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the amount of cameras and mic'd up and everything. It was unbelievable. So seeing that was hats off to those folks, because that's way more sitting on a screen than I ever want to do.
But you also had, you got to play, start with the Lions, mm-hmm. and Dan Campbell singled you out in a post-game locker room speech for stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Skip, nice freaking job.
Tell me about that.
That was great. Kind of early in that week, we had a guy get hurt. Frank was hurt, and so we're kind of in flux.
This is with the Lions.
Yes, and kind of in flux, trying to figure out what was it. I was like, come on, let me play guard. It's been a minute, but let's see what happens, right? And a little back and forth, and Thursday they're like, all right, you're playing guard, so get out there.
You must have been so fired up.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
After all these years, 6 years of bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, and just that work that went into that week, and knowing your opponent and everything else, to go out there and play well, and like you think you played well coming off the field, but there's still like 4 plays every week. It doesn't matter if you play well or not, but you walk off the field, you're like, okay. And then just knowing that I had kind of earned the respect of him during that, and then all the fellas, when they started yelling skip, it was that was another one of those moments that just get emotional about. Like, it's not only the football side, but knowing that those guys liked me and cared for me that much, that to me means as much as anything.
You earned it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and long road. Yeah, it's one of those things that you just never think is quite gonna happen. When it finally does, it's like, man.
Just listening to you, it's like you try not to think about that.
No.
Like, you try to just get up and do it again.
Yes, and
then
some days you got to just put your head down and go to work. And I try to look in my 3-foot view. I want to stay right here, right now. There's a time to sit down and plan out the future, but that's not every day. So let's get up, go to work. What happens, happens. But if it's not going to affect me in the next week, then I'm not going to worry about it unless I'm sitting down with a pen and paper talking with my wife. So,
that's some serious mental toughness right there.
yeah. It's the only way to stay sane, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm a free agent right now, but you start looking out at like, what if this or this or this or this? It's easy to get lost in it, of the what ifs and playing the what if game and how can I and why me, and it's a lot easier to just, hey, what do I need to do this week? All right, I need to train, bam, 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 get those done. All right, what stuff needs to happen with the business? Bam, bam, bam. What needs to happen? We're in the process of selling a house. What do I need to do right now? Bam, bam, bam. Knock that out. And that's just how do I try to take care of everything, so that it breaks up the days. I can say, hey, I'm, being a parent all day. Great. Watching the boys. All right, I know that. Easy enough. That's what the focus is. And start checking things off the box, and you check things off the box. But, having a right now attitude, I think, is what has helped me stay sane, because this is the business of football is not one that I would wish on most folks.
Some people would be like, man, I would just trade places. And then it's like, nah, you have no idea. Football's hard anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just in general.
It's hard on your body. It's hard on your family.
Even rehabbing's hard. Just basic.
Yeah.
When you're not lifting weights or running sprints, just the work to try to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's a commitment, and just is what it is. But there were years where I didn't know if I was going to be there week to week, and I was like, just stay home. And so you go half the season. You get Thanksgiving and the bye week, but it's about it. And so you're like, all right, well, just stay home. It's not worth you bringing the newborns up to Detroit to not know if I'm going to be here in a week. Like, no, it's only 6 weeks. Let's not, So there's all sorts of that stuff going on. So you're not with your family, with your boys,
your baby boys, and your twin kid. Tell me a little bit more about your family, and then we'll continue with where you are now. But 2 boys, twins.
Yes, twin boys.
How old are they now?
20 months. So
Jeez.
Getting closer to 2. They'll be 2 August 31st. So
you've been married how long?
6 years.
She's like, we got to pin a medal on her too, huh?
Yeah. No, she's a champ. She's unbelievable. So, get married coming out. She told me right off, she's like, I'm not moving with you to wherever in this country unless we're married, and you better get married. This is the timeline. So I was like, all right, after training camp, this thing's got to go. And so actually got engaged, asked her to marry me at the top of the stadium overlooking kind of the west side. And it was
here?
Yeah. And that was
we're in the north end zone right now.
Yeah, so it's been the south side, kind of that corner back there. So it worked out. I had Frank went and got a video camera from the video staff, and Frank's laying down in a puddle, so we've got the footage. But
Frank Ragnell is filming.
Videographer. Yeah, he's a videographer. All his Grizzly Man Outdoor videos.
Grizzly Man Outdoor. There's a plug. We got to get it in there.
There we go.
Frank was an intern for us at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. He showed up and he's like, I don't want anything to be any different. Like, just treat me like all the other interns. We're like, yeah, no problem. Of course. Can you go get me some coffee, Frank? Like, no, sir.
Yeah.
Just remember this when you're a Pro Bowler in the NFL, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah.
But the best dude like that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the guy that success does not affect.
Yeah. No, he's the same guy. Goes out, very simple, likes to fish, goes to his place that he's been going to since he's a little kid, and just the same guy. So from day one in college to day one in the NFL, this past season, like, you know what you're gonna get. Cares about, he's very simple. He's got his wife, his dogs, fishing.
Yeah.
That's where he's at.
Well, it's a lot like you. A bunch of good guys from that offensive line group in a couple year span, So here you are. We're in 2023 now. What's your NFL status?
I'm a free agent right now. I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens. Heard from my agent probably after the draft, somewhere in there, kind of maybe before training camp. Not quite sure. Very unknown. At the end of the day, if I get the call, I'll be ready to go. If I don't, then I've played 6 years in the NFL, and there's not a whole lot of people that can say that. So I've ticked off a lot of boxes, but at the end of the day, I'll be ready to go if I get the call this year. So,
have you thought about what's after football?
A little bit. I'm trying to figure it out. My wife has started a business that's gone national. We started it a few years ago, and it's called Outfit Marquee Letters. So we rent marquee letters, and you'll see them everywhere. And it started as a hobby after my second year. Didn't think we were going. Took the playoff money, bought a set of letters, and then we're 4 years into it. And
so when Pittman got hired, they had those letters out, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
And then I was at an FCA event last night, big FCA letters up there. Those are the kind of things you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually...
They're as tall as I am.
Not quite.
So
give yourself more credit than that.
Well, I mean, close. If you put some balloons on top, then I'm lost.
Me too, yeah.
Not you.
No, you get some of those, you get those triple stacks with balloons.
Yeah.
I'm out. It's dwarfed.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah,
That's
so she started that 4 years ago, and we're at 160-ish locations across North America.
Wow, man. That's cool.
It's been unbelievable to see and see her passion of, she's the best mom, and then she goes and does this, and seeing people who've we've played with. Travis owns the Northwest Arkansas location, but all these different guys that I've
Travis
played
Swanson.
with.
Yep.
And seeing people who are able to, who may be working and quit a job to run this full time, and just the freedom it gives, and watching her have that and have employees that show up to work and know they're counting on you to do things right, to make sure that they still have a job, and all those things, that it's fulfilling in a way that football isn't. Football's all kind of a show up, do your thing, but you get onto the business side of things, and it's like, all right, how can we just be just a little bit better? But then you multiply it out by 150, and everyone gets a little bit better. That's cool to see the reach that she's created with that, and that's fun. So she bosses me around a lot, but I do that in the off season now. But I'm thinking about going into coaching. Got to decide if the work-life balance for me is something that's what I want to do. Because you got to love what you're doing. There's no point to go to work every day and hate it. And I'm a firm believer in it. If you hate what you're doing, go find something you like. And it makes it more fun, and you're way more productive. And you put your talents into something that you enjoy and you're good at, you can be successful in anything. So let's go out there and find what I enjoy and love. And if that's coaching, I'll be the best damn coach I can be. If that's anything else, I'm going to do that with everything I've got.
This podcast has to be named Life Lessons with Dan Skipper.
Oh, no.
I mean, we've learned there's been so many good nuggets of just truth and life in here that really just come out of your journey, and you keeping your head down every day and just plowing forward. And it's just so great. I don't know if you see it like this, but I look at your story as successful, from your time at Arkansas to just making it as long as you have in the NFL, to your family that you have, and just the life that you're happy having. I mean, that's success. I mean, people would love to have that.
Absolutely.
So every day it feels like a grind, but look at what's happened for you, and I can just see that you're not unhappy. You're a happy person.
Absolutely.
Even with the grind. Let me ask you this as we wrap up. Congratulations on getting to this point, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you.
But when Razorback fans think of Dan Skipper and they remember your time here, What do you hope that they think?
I guess the most important thing is I want people to know that I came out and I played hard, gave it everything I had every day, and that's everything. You know, I gave this place everything I had in the classroom, on the field, sometimes on Dixon Street. But hey, I gave it everything I had, and you know, that to me is who I want to be. I want to go all the way with everything I do. You know, I don't want to ask questions of what if I had, you know, tried a little harder, done a little more. If I can look at the mirror at the end of the day and say, I did that, then I'm good with that, and hopefully Razorback fans do the same thing.